What's going on, guys? Stefan, S&E's Garage. Today we're here again with the notorious 2021 Toyota Camry TRD. And I actually just got done installing an oil catch can in this car. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because an oil catch can be beneficial to you in many ways more than just looks. Yeah, it looks cool in the engine bay, but they can actually be very beneficial and prevent carbon buildup and things of the sort. And I just kind of wanted to explain that to you. So sit tight, relax, and let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I ended up going with the Mishimoto miniature oil catch can. There's not a whole lot of room in this engine bay to be stuffing real big catch cans, so I wanted something small but was still going to work well. And so like I said, I went with the Mishimoto. Now basically what this does is this goes in between your intake manifold and your PCV valve. I actually did a video on PCV valves a couple videos ago. If you want to check that out, be my guest. So the pipe or hose that usually goes to the PCV valve is right here. So it would just basically, it would suck any crankcase vapors, blow-by, oil vapors, you know, anything that is produced as a byproduct of combustion that slips past the rings gets sucked up and reburned in the intake manifold. And as many of you know, this is a gasoline direct injected engine. It does have port injectors also, so there's actually 12 fuel injectors on this 6-cylinder car. But a lot of cars that have direct injection don't have that perk. So what can happen if you don't have a catch can is when your intake sucks those vapors out of the engine to be reburned, they go into the intake manifold and they can actually sit on the back of your intake valves, and it can cause problems. There was a couple Audis that had issues with that, Volkswagens. People actually had the walnut blast and the valves. A lot of the Hyundais have this problem. Toyota was smart. They incorporate in their D4S injection, they incorporate port injectors in the equation to kind of prevent that. But with that being said, I still didn't want any of that dirty crap getting sucked into my engine and reburned. So what a catch can does is it filters that. There's baffles in here, and there's a little brass filter that basically allows the oil vapors to condense on it, and they get collected into this can. So what you have to do every once in a while is you'd unscrew the bottom of this can, drain the contents, screw it back in, you're good. One other thing that an oil catch can actually do for you is it can raise your octane level of your fuel. Stefan, you're asking me, how does that happen? Well, what happens is when your engine is sucking in oil vapors from this positive crankcase vent and into the engine, that oil is going to change the octane of your fuel because it can induce knock. So what a lot of guys will do is they'll run these on their high performance turbo cars, things like that, to kind of get as much octane out of their fuel as they can and prevent knock. So these things actually have a lot of benefits. The only real downside to it is that you have to drain it once in a while. I'm not sure how often I'm going to have to. I have to baseline it, so I'm probably going to check it the next time I get gas, see how much is in there, and then hopefully I only have to drain it, you know, every time I change the oil. So we'll kind of play that one by ear. So it was real easy to install. Depending on which aftermarket intake you have, if you have one, this may be your best solution. I just opted to screw it with some self-tapping screws right into my heat shield, and then I put some rubber vacuum plugs on the back of the screws to hide them because they look kind of crappy, and I wanted the engine bay to still look nice when I pop the hood. So if you pop the hood, you just see those two little nipples there. You don't really think much of it. So on the catch can, you'll have an out and you'll have an in. You're gonna want the vacuum getting sucked out of the engine to go into the catch can and then back out and into your intake manifold. So it was real easy to install. If you have a factory intake, you might have to get creative on where you want to mount it because you don't want to just screw screws into a plastic intake. It, you know, cause vacuum leaks, things like that. You don't want to do that. So this is what worked best for me. I'm not going to make a how-to video on how to install one of these because it's going to be different for, you know, any situation that you have. But if you do have a V6 Camry and you happen to have an in-gen intake, this is probably going to be your best bet. I was toying around with sticking it back here, but then the intake pipe could hit it, and I just wanted it to look clean. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.